Guys, what's up, guys? So each young man should experience these 9 to 5 jobs. All right, these are some jobs I recommend for you guys to work. Now, before we start the video, guys, benefits of 9 to 5 jobs. I know a lot of people, if you're watching my videos, right, I expect you guys now to be leveling yourself up in every component possible in your life. I love to be well-rounded. I love to be educated. I love to be making sure I'm focusing on my health. I love to be making sure I'm focusing on my communication skills and my leadership skills. Making sure I'm improving physicality, learning how to fight, learning how to use this and that. You know what I'm saying? So the whole point I'm trying to make is, if you watch my videos, I expect you guys to be well-rounded in every component possible. I'm not saying you got to be 100% well-rounded. I'm not even 100% well-rounded. I got a lot of things I need to work on, but my mentality is I gotta focus on each component and be well-rounded in every realm possible and keep improving, all right, myself in every realm possible. So if you guys watch my videos, we should be like-minded people, and you guys should also be focusing on every component possible and making sure that you guys are leveling up in that sense. So I know a lot of you guys, you're like, oh, I don't like work 9 to 5 jobs because, you know, I want to be rich. I want to be a streamer. I want to join Kai Cenat's university. I want to make YouTube videos. I want to work from home. Like, you know, all that bullshit, right? Nobody wants to work a 9 to 5 job unless you're so passionate about being a firefighter and a policeman and detective and, you know, a scientist and whatever. You know, I understand that. But if you're like me, where you can't settle for working a 9 to 5 job, you're like, you know, I don't, you know, it's good in the meantime, but you don't want to do it till you're 70 years old. You know, it's kind of like a restriction if you work a 9 to 5 job. But you got to look at all the positives. 9 to 5 jobs gonna help your asses, all right? So when you're young, 9 to 5 jobs cannot, you know, not only does it stack up your income, right? You make money, but also you're stacking up your life skills and your experiences and your skill sets. And you're building yourself up as a person. And working a 9 to 5 job is one of the most easiest things to make you more well-rounded in life and build yourself up in every realm possible, right? Not only are you stacking up your money, but you're stacking up, like, for example, this is why I'm going to talk to you guys why you should work a 9 to 5 job, all right? Or each job that you guys should experience. So the first job that you guys should work at is a physical labor job. You guys should experience this, guys, all right? Physical labor job. Maybe you work like landscaping or construction or carpentry, or maybe you work a warehouse job. Maybe you work a hotel, your housekeeping. Maybe you're a janitor. I don't know what it is, right? Maybe you're a food shuttler at a hotel. Maybe you're you work at a farm. Whatever that it is, as long as it's physical, you guys need to experience that. And the reason for this is because I believe that with a strong body, right, like the saying, if with a strong body you have a strong mind, but you also have a strong soul, all right? Because your mind and your soul is related. But anyways, when you build up your body, you have a stronger mind and a stronger soul. Your mentality is stronger. Your mental resilience is stronger. Your spiritual resilience is stronger. And your body, yeah, you get a little bit stronger. You're working out, you know, you're holding heavy equipment. Like, it's pretty fun. But I grew up playing a lot of sports. I grew up doing combat sports. I grew up playing football. I grew up playing basketball a little bit. I did a lot of runs and swims and biathlons. I was doing bicycle and wrestling and all this kind of shit. But I did a lot of sports growing up. So my physicality, I was always in shape. But when I was growing up, I learned that when you do all these physical sports, right? I experienced this, right? I know a lot of people experience this too, and they, you know, a lot of people say, but when I was doing all these sports, it made me mentally stronger. It made me more spiritually stronger. I was like, oh, you know, made me more confident. It made me more better. So a lot of people, when I used to work all these 9 to 5 jobs, I remember I used to talk to somebody from a different school at Taco Bell. And I asked this young guy, right? We were 17 years old at the time in 2020. I asked him, I said, hey, what kind of sport did you play growing up? Like, what you played during high school? Did you play football? Did you play basketball? Did you play volleyball? Did you do boxing outside of school? Did you do wrestling? Did you do judo? Did you play, did you do track? Did you do swims? Like, what did you do? Did you play water polo? What are sports that you played? And they're like, oh, I never played sports. All I did was just go to school and I come home and play video games. Like, video games is a sport, right? And they're laughing about it. It's like, bro, what the fuck, Ray? Shut the hell up. Oh, that's a different topic I want to talk about. Is video games a sport? That's a different video subject. But a lot of these young people, they haven't experienced anything physical. They didn't play a sport. They didn't do anything. So if you're the type of person where you didn't do anything physically hard, you got to experience a physical labor job to make up for that, okay? Go to the gym, train, do boxing, do whatever that it is, but also work a physical labor job to make up for all the years that you have not experienced physicality training, right? Like, a lot of people, they can't even run a mile under fucking 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? They don't even know how to swim. They don't know how to throw a punch. They don't know how to do something without burning out because they didn't experience anything physical. So with a physical job, you're building up your body, you're building up your soul, you're building up your mind, but also you're building up your work ethic. All right, because I promise you guys, the hardest workers, I know you guys could debate me because maybe you guys go see construction workers and they're just standing on the side and, you know, maybe they're doing road work, but they're just hiding. You know, I know a lot of people, they do that shit. You know what I'm saying? I experienced it firsthand working at these jobs. A lot of people, they're lazy. All right, but if you're like me, where you're working hard, no matter what it is, even if you're in the sun, you build up your work ethic. All right, you're building your work ethic. When you're working in the sun, you're working hard, you're busting ass, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're gonna be working hard, and you're gonna build up your work ethic, which is very important in life. You need a good work ethic to get successful in life. If you're lazy, you don't want to work hard. No matter, you know, if it's hot, it's sunny, you're lazy that day, you don't want to do anything. You don't have good work ethic. You need good work ethic to be successful. Not only that, right? But it also builds up your discipline. When I did sports and when I was working, I used to work, okay, my experience with physical jobs was I was working landscaping, okay? And I was working there in 2019 to 2021. And I was 16 during 2019, and then I quit the job. I was 18. So I was working there for 2 years, right? Like during COVID, everything. During high school, COVID, everything. But it also built up my discipline. When I showed up, I'll wake up 4 in the morning. I'll get to my job at 6 in the morning. And then when I showed up, I didn't want to do this shit. I wasn't motivated, but I had to do it, right? My boss was making me drive. She made me plant grass. I had to go ahead and, you know, leaf blow and cut grass and lawn mow and trim bushes and trees. And then during COVID, she was making me paint the roads and curbs and painting the speed bumps. And I was out here, you know, cleaning the water fountains and fish ponds. And I was doing all kinds of shit. But it builds up my discipline and my work ethic. My discipline was like, I didn't want to do this today. Frick, I just like chill, right? I like drive around. I like, you know, cruise with the golf cart. But discipline. I had to show up and I had to get that shit done. All right. And it taught me how to work hard too. It also taught me a lot of different things. Accountability. Because there was, when I was younger, right, it taught me a lot of accountability skills and responsibility because, you know, it was stuff that I didn't do and I had to operate like machinery and like shit like that. And I had to be in charge. It helped me with my leadership skills, you know, so it just taught me a lot of things. So work a physical labor job. I worked at landscaping. I worked at warehouse jobs. I worked at this high school job where I was driving and delivering. That was pretty physical because I was pushing things around and it was kind of heavy and I had to do shit, you know, like that. So physical labor jobs, guys, I recommend just go out there and fucking experience this, all right? It's going to make you a better version of yourself. Number 2, you guys need to experience a customer service job. And the reason, this is very important, guys, interacting with people and, you know, communicating with people and working with other people because, number 1, right, it's going to teach you good communication skills. A lot of people nowadays, bro, you guys don't know how to speak for shit. Young people and older people. Communication is so important and vital in everyday life, especially if you want to make money, you want to run your business, you want to get the job of your dreams, you want to get the girl of your dreams. Like, there's so many things that communication can get you. Communication is pretty much a superpower. If you're bad at speaking, you're not going to get what you want in life. I'm sorry, guys. It's just the harsh reality. If you're shy and timid, I was very quiet and shy before. And I was like, fucking, like, I didn't get what I wanted in life because I didn't know how to speak. If you're shy, you're quiet, you don't know how to speak, you're not confident, you don't know how to convey your message, you don't know how to captivate whatever that you're thinking and put it out into words. If you don't know how to have good body posture, if you don't know how to speak confidently, if you don't know how to look people in the eyes and shake with a firm handshake, if you don't know how to do any of that, you don't know how to speak without stuttering, you don't know how to speak without using slang, people are not going to take you serious and you're not going to get successful in that sense. If you're bad at communicating, you are not going to be successful in a sense. And communication is so vital, guys, because, right, like I said, right, it helps you make money. If you want to be rich, you got to learn how to speak, right? Like, if you're trying to get your job interview, you got to learn how to speak to impress your boss. If you're trying to start a business and maybe you're trying to become a salesman, the best salesmen are good at speaking. They're good at persuading. They're good at being confident and going up to people and interacting with strangers. It's good for business, making money. Maybe you're trying to sell a physical product. You need to learn how to speak. You're trying to sell a service. You need to learn how to speak. Maybe you're trying to start a YouTube channel like me. You need to learn how to speak to the camera. You need to learn how to be captivating, right? You need to learn how to stand out and be interesting. And that's all related to communication skills. The best speakers are going to make the most money. They're going to be more successful. They're going to get the girl of their dreams. because girls love confident guys. They love when guys come up to them and speak to them. Girls are never going to come up to you and speak to you and ask you out, even if they like you. From my experience, girls are not going to do that. They like you, but they're not going to talk to you. You have to talk to them, right? So, right, go back to communication skills. You need to be good, right? Maybe you're trying to persuade a family member and he's addicted to alcohol. He's an alcoholic. And you need to convince him. You need to persuade him. Stop drinking alcohol. And you have to learn how to the power of persuasion, communication skills, right? So customer service job teaches you communication skills. It also teaches you stoicism. And learning how to, you know, like when I was working at Taco Bell, I used to work there in 2020 to 2022. And I started when I was 17 all the way till I was 19. Working there all during COVID, fresh out of high school, right? And it taught me a lot about stoicism. People showed up every day acting like jackasses. I would work from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. And I would encounter at least 1 to 5 people acting like a dumbass at the drive-thru. You like slap them, but you cannot. You got to learn how to control your emotions and not react on how people, you know, act to you. You know what I'm saying? Stoicism is very important. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want to hurt people. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to go jeopardize your career or your future because you didn't know how to control your emotions, right? Emotional control is very important. I'm not saying hold it in. I'm not saying cry also, but I'm saying learn how to control your emotions during a stressful situation, and then later on figure out ways to release your emotions. You don't gotta cry, like I said. You don't gotta go ahead and complain and be just break down. But I'm saying like maybe you pray, you go to church, you meditate, right? That's releasing emotions in a good positive way, right? You're praying, talking to God. Maybe you go to acupuncture. Maybe you go drink water. Maybe you go to the gym and work out. Maybe you gotta talk to your girlfriend. I don't know, right? Maybe you gotta see a therapist. I don't know. Something, whatever. But don't lash out. Don't make your emotions take control of you. You control your emotions, all right? Another thing that I learned was multitasking. Multitasking is so important. And the reason it's so important is because, like what I said, guys, if you watch my videos, I expect you guys to be focusing on every component possible in your life. And that, in order to do that, you need to learn good multitasking skills. You need to wake up. You need to do your morning routine. You need to go to the gym. You need to work multiple 9-to-5 jobs. You need to come home and focus on your business and make your videos. And, you know, maybe you're trying to do reselling or DoorDashing or Uber Eats. It's all about balancing it out. And that requires multitasking. Maybe you got to make time to spend time with your girl. And then you got to go to boxing after, or you got to go swimming. Or maybe you got to go hang with the boys and you guys are discussing about different projects and different business ideas and whatever that it is, right? Multitasking. Working at Taco Bell and working at a customer service job was so much multitasking. I was like, bro, what the hell, right? Another thing is working under pressure. It teaches you how to work under pressure. And this is very important in life because a lot of people, they don't know how to work under pressure. When life gets hard, they want to be great. When they get great, God's going to give you, when they want to become greater, God's going to give you a lot of tests and trials to develop you, to get that life attribute that you need to become better, right? Whatever that you prayed for, he's going to grant you it, but he's not going to give it to you directly. He's going to give it to you indirectly, right? So like maybe I prayed for it to become mentally stronger. God got me sick for 2 months. And I was like, why, God? Why did this happen to me? But when I sat back and I think about it, I was like, oh, wow, he's giving me all these life attributes. He was giving me tests and trials to make me more stronger, right? So work under pressure, guys. I tell you guys, life is pressure. Working at Taco Bell, I remember this young boy, right? He's a year older than me, but he acts young, right? He acts like he's a young boy. But anyways, he tried to be a manager. He tried to, like, they gave him one day to try and, you know, it's like a practice thing, right? He tried to be a manager for one day. He gave up. Why? He couldn't work under pressure. His stress tolerance was so bad. He couldn't even handle working under pressure. He couldn't handle talking to the customers that came in and complained. He couldn't handle, you know, all the stress and all the whatever that he experienced. Oh, good, like problem solving and whatever that it was. He didn't know how to command people to do what they wanted him to do because he wasn't confident. He wasn't a good leader. He didn't have good credibility. So working under pressure is hard, bro. You know what I'm saying? But you guys got to experience that. Also, working hard with little to no reward. To no reward. This is what I learned at customer service jobs. Working hard with little to no reward. Because a lot of people, they have this whole mentality where, you know, I used to work with a lot of young people at the time, and I was young myself, like 17 at the time. I'm still young now, but I'm saying I was younger back then. And A lot of people, they will come up to me, they'll be like, I don't like work hard. I was like, why you don't like work hard? I was like, oh, because they're like, oh, because I'm only getting paid $11 an hour. I was like, so you getting paid? Why you don't like work hard? Like, how come? Why? What's wrong with your mentality? And they're like, oh, well, if I was getting paid 21 an hour, then yeah, I would work hard. I would show up every day. I would do double shifts. I would learn different positions and all the skills. I'll be quick and fast and efficient. And I said, okay, hypothetically, if I was the boss and I was to give you $21 right now, would you still perform good? And they're like, yeah. I was like, bro, bullshit. Your work ethic is ass. Your mindset is ass, right? So a lot of people, they have the whole philosophy. They have the whole mentality of they're not going to work hard because the reward is little. And I feel like that's a bad thing. The reason that's a bad thing is because when you try to start a business, when you're trying to do YouTube, you're not going to see results right away. What are you going to do? After 1 month, you're just going to give up? You're just not going to work hard? And what? You're just going to just because the reward is little, right? If you go to the gym, you go for 1 month, you're not going to be ripped and shredded like Bradley Martin, right? What are you going to do? Just give up because the reward is little? You want instant gratification? If you're trying to become a good boxer like Floyd Mayweather, it's not going to take you 1 month to become good like him, right? You got to work for it. All these people, they want instant gratifications. They don't, and their whole mindset is they don't want to work hard because the reward is little. I was like, bro, even if I was to pay you $41 an hour, you still would be ass. You still would be slow at making tacos. You still be fucking up the orders. You still wouldn't even know how to solve situations and do this and do that because your work ethic is ass. Your mindset is ass. You need to change that mindset. So these are some things that you guys got to experience. Another thing before I go, guys, you guys need to experience a lazy job. The reason you guys should experience a lazy job, I used to work at Enterprise, and that was the most fucking shittiest job I ever worked at. It was a car rental company, and you would drive cars. And a lot of people, I was only 19 at that time in 2022, and a lot of people, they would come into the job, they would hide in the cars, they would drive the cars, they would steal the cars and leave. They would clock in and leave the property, and the boss didn't even know. They were lazy. People were sleeping on the job, smoking on the job, hiding in the car rentals. Like, fucking, like, bro, imagine I would spend a lot of money to go fly out, and my car rental smelled like weed, and fucking, it was people fucking sleeping in the car. They didn't clean it because it was lazy. I was like, bro, it just made me realize, like, this is a good example. You need real life examples to show you that these are things that you don't want to become. So I was looking at the job, and when you guys experience a lazy job, you'll realize, like, oh, fuck, this is not what I want in life. I got to work harder. I don't want to be like these people, right? People sleeping on a job, fucking jerking off on the job, fucking kissing on the job, freaking hiding in the job. Like, bro, it teaches you not to settle for less. No settle for less. All right? Next is you guys need to learn, or you guys need to experience a creative job. Something that makes you think. All right? Because a lot of people, they don't think on their job. A lot of people, they don't utilize their brain. So make sure that you guys are utilizing your brain and making sure that you guys are thinking, all right? I see you guys later. Let's go.